Hey there, it's Lacy J here to ask you to go to spacebearmedia.com right now to access all our content, buy yourself some merch, and most importantly, send us a message, the latter of which we'll reply to on our newly revamped weekly pre-shows, where we have as many fun segments as we do on the audio pod. There are current events with Christy, corrections and observations with Ben, and as always, questions with Derek. Plus, I have new fun facts and tell a terrible fucking joke every single week. Please join us, and please consider rating and reviewing us on your favorite app or recommending us to a friend who loves Lost. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Lost in My 40s, Season 3, Episode 5. It's called The Cost of Living. It's depressing. It's a Mr. Echo episode. It's a me episode. But first, how is everyone today?
Just lovely.
Fantastic.
Peachy keen.
Oh, peachy keen even. Okay. Ben, could you please remind us where our power rankings are after the first 4 episodes of Season 3?
Yes, I will. We have Sawyer in first place with 44 points. Kate moving into second place with 25 points, and Juliet falling into third place with 20 points. But we also have Desmond only 3 points off the third place there, so he's coming into the mix. We have Dad Pants Danny, the most reviled character of the season so far, closely followed by Paolo. Not ingratiating himself with anybody. He actually has negative 26 points already, which is funny because all he's really done is hit some golf balls at this point.
I mean, he's had 60 seconds of screen time total?
If that, yeah.
He's had one line in one episode and then 2 or 3 lines in another one.
Yeah, but he just is douche written all over it.
Oh, he really does. He really does. And then we've got Jack in third to last place, with negative 20.
I have a feeling he might redeem himself a little in this season. We'll see.
Get over his stalkerness.
Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty bad start for him, and he hasn't really had much screen time to rectify that yet. So, anyways, shall we do the cost of living?
Let's do it.
This episode begins in a flashback. Young Echo is smashing the lock on a shed door using a rock. Young Yemi is with him, and when they get into this shed, they find it filled with food. Echo grabs a basket with packages of crackers inside and hands some to his brother.
And he
Yemi
says,
is
Yemi,
hesitant.
Yemi, Yemi, put some food in your tummy.
Oh my God.
Okay. Thank you for that, Ben.
You're welcome.
Yemi's hesitant at first, but Echo tells him, that it's okay to eat them. And so he tears into the package and stuffs his face like he's never eaten crackers before.
So like Hurley eating all the goldfish crackers, right?
Yeah. So just as a nun catches them, womp, womp. The boys are now sitting in a pew inside, the church that eventually becomes Yemi's. Nun is standing before them, and she tells Echo that he needs to get into the confessional and confess his sin of stealing. He protests that Yemi was hungry, but she yells that hunger doesn't matter, and he needs to ask God for forgiveness.
Fucking
cunt. Well, fuck you, lady. If your God wants me starving, fuck him too.
Right?
My
doesn't seem
hungry.
That seems a bit insensitive, like on the continent of Africa, to say hunger doesn't matter.
Right.
Oh, well.
Wow.
Yep.
It also doesn't seem very Christ-like,
No, it doesn't.
He wanted to feed the people.
Yeah, he fed the hungry, the 5,000 people or whatever. So
Stupid nun. So anyways, Yemi kind of grabs Echo's hand in this moment where Echo's getting yelled at. And Echo gets up and walks towards the confessional and then stops and turns around as if, he's trying not to go. And the nun yells, "Confess!" Chill out, lady. Yeah, Jesus. All right, so on the island, it is nighttime on day 71. Echo is lying in some shelter with Saeed, Charlie, and Hurley all by his side. His eyes are moving underneath his eyelids as if he was dreaming. And Hurley says that Echo's been like this for 2 days now. And, he's concerned about him, but he's saying we need to find Locke. He's going to want to know Saeed is back. And Hurley looks at Echo, the unconscious Echo, and says, "Stay alive, dude." And then they all leave.
Survive.
What?
Survive.
Oh, survive. So we see clips of the flashbacks from the 23rd Psalm, where Echo meets his brother again as adults. And then it appears that, that's what Echo is dreaming about, I guess. So we get more clips of when Echo demanded his brother help him smuggle the drugs out of Nigeria, when Yemi gets shot on the runway. And then Yemi says, Echo, wake up. He does.
Echo.
I didn't mean it that way, but so he does. He opens his eyes, and there is Yemi in the tent holding a lit lighter. And he says, "It is time to confess. To be judged, brother. I will be waiting. You know where to find me."
Wow.
So Saeed, Charlie, and Hurley are walking away from Echo's tent when Hurley smells smoke. They turn around and they find the tent is ablaze. Saeed throws sand on it. Hurley and Charlie rush in and drag Echo out, which those roles seem reversed to me, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They kind of give him a once-over. They make sure he's okay, and then they turn their focus back to the tent. Just then, Echo grabs Charlie's arm and says, my brother, Yemi." Locke runs up to ask if everything is okay. Charlie says they're all good and that Echo is, laying by the tree. And when they turn their heads, he's gone.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, I don't think Charlie or Saeed could move him. I think Hurley is the only one that could get him out of that tent.
Oh, just because of his mass,
because of sheer size. Hurley could probably do that, but that was a little backwards.
Definitely not the Hobbit.
No.
So after Echo disappears, we get the lost title screen. Back on island number 2, Jack is doing pull-ups in his cell, looking sexy. Ben walks
very
in.
Strong Linda Hamilton T2.
Oh yeah.
T2
vibes. Totally. So then Ben walks in dressed in white robes, looking like a cult leader. And he's holding another white outfit in his hands and asks Jack if he'd like to go for a walk. Jack laughs and says if he doesn't go, Ben will just throw a bag over his head and drag him out. And Ben says, "Then don't say no." He hands him the outfit and asks him to put it on while he waits outside. And while he's getting dressed, Jack says, "Does it hurt? Your neck, does it hurt? Any numbness in your fingers and toes, like pins and needles when your foot falls asleep, but permanent?" Ben pretends, or I don't know if he's pretending. At this point, he's just kind of inquisitive
he didn't see
about
this one.
Line of questioning. Yeah. Jack tells him it's because of the aggressive tumor on his spine and says to Ben that he's not sure when those x-rays were taken, but he'll be dead soon unless they were very recent. Ben says he has no idea what Jack is talking about, and Jack
his face says different.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Jack finishes getting dressed and says that it must be a mistake, and I'm ready whenever you are.
So when he says any numbness in your fingers and toes, like pins and needles when your foot falls asleep, but permanent, I know what that feels like, and it is fucking weird.
From MS?
Yeah, when my first MS attack, I woke up that morning and my right hand was pins and needles, and it would not go away. And I kept shaking my hand, and I just couldn't get the pins and needles to go away. And it's
the medical term for that is paresthesia.
It's very disconcerting.
It's a very weird sensation, even the short time you get it from sleeping.
Thankfully, my symptoms went away and it wasn't any permanent damage, but it was really fucking weird.
I love
you guys
this
ever like sleep on your arm wrong or something like that? When you wake up, you cannot feel it for the first 15
it feels like
seconds.
it's completely dead. Like from here, it's just like limp. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And it's like so heavy.
Slap your arm and it's like, oh wait, now there's some feeling coming back.
Right.
Yeah, that's
I've done that.
In the in-betweeners, that's why the character...
Give yourself a stranger.
Yeah, sits on his arm and then jerks off with it.
Have you guys ever watched Killing Eve?
No.
Nope.
I didn't watch most of it, but in the very first episode, Sandra Oh is sleeping face down, and she wakes up absolutely screaming, and her husband's like, what the fuck is wrong? Both of her arms have fallen asleep.
So she couldn't move?
Underneath of her.
She's going on like this.
I can imagine that would be frustrating.
Yeah, it was really funny.
Wow, okay. Other than pins and needles, paresthesia, I thought the scene between Jack and Ben is awesome. I love their chemistry. Yeah, and their banter, exactly. All right, so Jack is now being led through the jungle. It's nighttime. And with him is Ben, another other carrying a torch, and another other carrying a rifle. They stop at the edge of the beach where the rest of the others are. Also all dressed in white clothing. Torches are lit all over the beach. And then you see Colleen's dead body covered, lying on a raft. Danny is kneeling next to her. And Ben tells Jack to stay put and then walks over to the group and starts to Googleize her. Juliet comes up behind Jack and says, I hate funerals. And then walks over to the group as the body is set on fire and the raft pushed into the ocean. The song
funerals, not me. I can't get to enough of them.
What, funerals?
Yeah, who likes funerals? It's just a thing to say. I hate funerals. Who the fuck doesn't, man? Like,
yeah,
I know, right? Like, I don't know.
Unless you're weird, like you work in the industry or whatever, and you're like, oh, that was actually a really good funeral. Like,
oh. All right. The song I Wonder by Brenda Lee is playing over the loudspeaker, and Ben asks Juliet, why did you show him my x-rays? And she responds, I didn't tell him they were yours, but I guess you did. Womp womp. It's now the morning of day 72. Locke, Saeed, and Desmond are all sitting on the beach, and Locke thinks he knows how to find Jack, Kate, and Sawyer. Saeed wonders why Desmond is like being included in this little planning sesh, and Locke says for Desmond to tell Saeed what he told him. And Desmond says, the computer in the hatch wasn't only for pushing the button. I'm pretty sure it could be used to communicate with other stations. So Locke tells Saeed he wants to go to another station and try to communicate with the others. What's up, Christy?
Saeed says in his very dry way, this is fascinating, but you just told me the hatch exploded.
This is fascinating.
Very true. Very true.
Right. So then that's when Locke says he wants to go to another station and use that to communicate. So Hurley and Charlie show up, say they can't find Echo anywhere. Locke wants to know if Echo said anything during the fire, and Charlie says he mumbled something about his brother. And Locke tells Saeed to pack up his things. They're going to a computer, and they're going to find Echo as well, since they're all headed to the same place. What? We get a little flash of Echo kind of stumbling through the jungle, and then he collapses on the ground. And that leads us into flashback number 2.
You in the jungle, baby. You gonna die.
Oh, all right. A little GNR reference. That's nice. Flashback number 2. Echo is riding in the back of a military truck after being mistaken by them for the real priest. So it's like we're now seeing the moments after the tarmac scene that we had seen before when Yemi died. And I think that's when Ben's saying, Yemi, 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 I got shot in my tummy.
My tummy, yeah, it was. See, the thing here is the guy goes up to him and he's like, Father, like, do you need help or whatever? These guys who pulled up in the truck with their guns, like, they saw him trying to get into the plane. So, like It's not like
Did
he was
they?
just some father that was like running around and then all of a sudden was like
got caught in the crossfire.
Yeah.
Well,
like
he could have said
already
that they
there
were
on the
forcing him
scene.
into the plane, like he was obeying under,
Duress. Yeah.
Under duress.
Yeah.
So I guess it just
It didn't
seems
seem to be
it just
too
seemed like the fact
remorseful
that he had
about
a
killing the other priest.
yeah.
No.
It just seemed like one white collar, like he had the white collar, and therefore nobody just said anything at all. They were just like, "Oh well."
Yeah,
you're a priest,
unfortunately,
therefore.
that is the case sometimes. So
That's-
yeah.
Just ask the altar boys.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, so they take Echo back to the village and the church where they grew up and where Yemi lived. He enters the church and nearly cries when looking at the cross on the wall. Then he finds Yemi's Bible in the confessional, which has a photograph of the two of them when they were young inside. A mother and a young boy enter the church looking for Father Yemi. She tells him she works at the clinic and that this is her son Daniel and he's an altar boy, speaking of. So Echo tells them he has that Yemi has gone to a refugee camp emergency down south, and she asks him if Echo is there to take his place and then also take Yemi's place in London. And Echo is kind of confused by that, and she says he's like was going there to continue his studies or something. And then Echo says, "Well, yeah, then I will take his place."
Yeah,
in
go
London.
get some decent fish and chips.
Oh my
Do
god!
it. Let's do it.
So Echo regains consciousness on the jungle floor, and the like clickety clacking of the smoke monster can be heard, and a small poof whizzes past him.
Yeah, the smoke monster's been absent for a while.
Yeah, you were just asking about the smoke monster.
Yep.
I think at the end of season 2, were like, where is he?
What happened to it? Yeah.
Yeah. So he gets up, Echo gets up, and he uses a large stick as like a walking cane. And suddenly there are bloodied and hacked up men kind of all surrounding him. And one throws a machete and it lands in a tree right next to Echo's face. He grabs it and goes to strike a man who is now like on his knees. The man begs him to stop. And then he morphs into the altar boy, which stops Echo dead in his tracks. And the little boy like raises his fingers to his lips and says, "Shh, confess." Echo drops the knife and everyone
or
disappears.
Confess. Which one? I need to be quiet or I need to confess. Come on, you're throwing me mixed signals, Daniel.
So Echo drops the knife and then everyone disappears. He stares like around the jungle, just looking shocked and confused by this. Locke, Saeed, and Desmond are all prepping to head to the Pearl Station to try and contact the others. Charlie, Hurley, Nikki, and Paolo are around. And Locke asks if anyone wants... For some reason. Well, they're just in the camp at this point, but... Locke asks if anyone wants to join them. Hurley seems confused by the invitation and mentions how Jack never invites anyone. And I think Locke says something like, I'm not Jack, or Jack's not here, or some shit like that. But Nikki jumps on the opportunity. She's super excited about it. He says, like, Locke says, meet me over here in 10 minutes. So people run off, and then Paolo is like annoyed.
I want to call attention to this scene because I mentioned this 2 episodes ago, and I said I'm going to mention this later. John said, "Don't follow me because people who follow me get hurt." Now, 2 episodes later, he's got everyone basically saying, "The more, the merrier." Come on, everyone! Come on, Nikki! Come on, Paolo! Come with me, everyone! Let's
all get hurt.
Let's all get hurt. Exactly.
All right. So anyways, Paolo's like annoyed at Nikki wanting to volunteer, but she's like, "Hey, you're always complaining about not being included, and this is our chance." And it's all awkward and weird, and I don't care about them at all. But
yeah.
Are you feeling the same way, Derek?
Yes.
It feels weird, right?
The scene was very annoying. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, who are these?
I was like, go with them,
people?
and hopefully it'll come true that everyone goes with them dies.
There you go. So Desmond asks Locke if they are headed to the Pearl or to find Echo, and Locke says it's the same thing, since Echo is headed for the plane that crashed on the Pearl station. Desmond says that's quite a coincidence, and Locke replies, don't mistake coincidence for fate.
Oh, Locke, he's back.
Yep,
yeah,
Locke
is back on the fate train.
Yep.
Yep.
So Echo is like hobbling through the jungle, and he finds a stream, stops to take a drink out of it, and that puts us in flashback 3, where Echo is washing his hands in the holy water, while Danny, the altar boy, is lighting candles. The kid tells Echo he's not supposed to do that, and Echo says he's washing away his sins. Okay. Suddenly, shots ring out. People are screaming. Echo tells Danny to stay put and goes outside to find a warlord and his gang shooting in the air while arriving via truck. The warlord wants to know where Yemi is. Danny's mother runs up and tells him that the shipment is late. Echo wants to know what all of this is about, so she explains that they get vaccines from the Red Cross and are allowed to keep 20%. In exchange, they get protection. Of course, protection from the people extorting them, I guess.
Yeah,
right.
That's
extort?
stupid.
I don't know if that's the right word.
Yeah.
It is.
It is? Okay. So Echo tells the warlord that he's not afraid of him. And so the guy just fucking shoots and kills a woman selling Mary statues, the ones we all know and love so much.
Yeah, but where like he shoots her, I don't actually think that would have been a lethal shot. You know, we were talking about some episodes back.
It was in her shoulder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't like heart or any of that. I don't even think it was in her lungs. I thought it was in her lower sort of torso. In either case, it didn't.
It would take a while to bleed out that way.
Yeah, exactly. She was like just dead right
instant
then.
death, yeah.
So, Christy, that was Christy's commentary. Meh. All right, so he shoots the woman. Whether or not he kills her is up in the air, and then tells Echo he will be back for the vaccines. So back to Echo in the stream, and he hears the sounds of the monster, and the smoke kind of moves over his shoulder, which he sees in the reflection of the water. He spins around to face it, and the smoke recoils and disappears. And Echo looks to see what scared it away and sees Locke walking out of the jungle on the other side of the river with everyone else behind him. And Locke says, "Hello, Echo."
Hello, Clarice.
So Jack is sitting in his cell when Juliet comes in carrying a silver platter. She asks if he wants to guess what's under the lid, but Jack says he's not big on mysteries. When she lifts it, he's shocked and says, "You people have cheeseburgers?" She tells him she made it for him by first killing the cow, processing the meat, baking the bun, rendering the fat for the fries, and Jack says, "What, no ketchup?"
Yeah.
So Ben walks in the room and tells Juliet to leave so he can speak to Jack alone. And Jack says he's fine with Juliet staying, but Ben says this conversation falls under doctor-patient confidentiality.
I think one thing he actually says is he says, "And I'm thrilled that you're fine with it, Jack."
Yeah, he does. Because Ben is great.
Yes.
All right, so Ben tells Jack that he had such a wonderful plan to break him and make him do the things he thought he wanted to do. Wow.
Pacemaker?
Jack questions this, and Ben points out that Juliet bears a striking resemblance to Sarah.
I disagree.
Which I
was
really
about to
think
say,
is true.
do they? They don't look anything.
They're blonde.
Yeah, they're blonde. They're blonde white
That's
ladies.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, Juliet's way prettier.
Yeah. So Ben continues to say that his plan got wrecked once Jack saw his x-rays and he knew he was sick. Jack says, "You want me to save your life?" And Ben replies, "No, I want you to want to save my life." But we're beyond that now. So all I can ask is that you think about it. And then Ben turns to leave and says, "Do you believe in God, Jack?" "Do you?" asks Jack. And Ben replies, 2 days after I found out I had a fatal tumor on my spine, a spinal surgeon fell out of the sky. And if that's not proof of God, I don't know what is."
I mean,
Hard disagree.
Don't confuse coincidence with fate.
Fate,
I guess.
I think it could have been funny because I think you could have taken the same conversation and Ben asks him this question: do you believe in God? When he's offering him the robe, and this entire thing could have gone a really different direction.
All right, so Echo, Locke, Saeed, Desmond, Nikki, and Paolo are walking through the jungle when Echo stumbles. Locke says they can rest a bit if he needs to, and then asks if he's going to the plane to find Yemi. Echo spins around, all of a sudden, pins Locke against the tree and puts a knife to his throat. Do not speak my brother's name again.
I wish at this moment Locke had just looked right at him and just went, yummy, yummy, yummy.
Yep. That would have been great.
Just a big smile on his face when he said it.
Yeah, with the Locke grin.
Exactly.
Instead, he says, what are you so afraid of, Echo? Then we go to flashback number 4. Echo is standing in front of the clinic next to Yemi's church. Amina, who is the mother of Danny, comes out, sees Echo, and asks what she can do for him. He wants to know how often the vaccine shipments come, and she tells him every 6 months if they are lucky. He asks if they agreed to hand them over to the militia. She tells him that before this deal, they got nothing, and it was Yemi who secured, the percentage that they get. So she says that Echo reminds her of Yemi as he is a good man too. You sure? Okay. So then Echo... the scene changes, and Echo is in a station wagon, and he pulls up in front of like a rundown shanty-looking thing.
It's like a bar.
He's wearing What?
Yeah.
It's like a bar, like a little bar restaurant or something.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
They have drinks in front of them.
Oh, that's right. Yep, you're right. So,
it's a little dive bar.
Echo's like wearing street clothes, and he sits down outside, and I'm guessing this is with another warlord, who says, I hear you have some vaccine to sell. Echo tells him, I do, but it has to be on Sunday. I'm leaving the country. Back to the adventure group, and everyone has reached the yellow plane and the Pearl Station. Locke tells Saeed to take everyone down, and he'll be in there in a minute. So Paolo whispers to Nikki, asking what Echo is looking for, and she tells him his brother's body is in the plane. Locke asks Echo what he saw back by the water, and then says, I saw it once too. It was bright in a beautiful light. And then Echo says, that's not what I saw. And then enters the plane. He quickly comes back out, looks at Locke, and says, my brother's gone.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. So Locke is not as concerned, reminds him that he set the plane on fire and that there were animals. So Echo...
Polar bears.
And polar bear, hungry
bears.
Polar bears. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Echo pulls the photo of him and Yemi out and looks at it. And Locke asks Echo, does he want to go down into the Pearl Station? But Echo says he's going to wait up there. So Locke hands him Yemi's gold necklace that Echo had first worn as a child. Flashback number 5. Echo is in Yemi's church staring at the cross when the warlord who Yemi had the deal with enters. He puts a knife to Echo's neck and says, if you thought you could do this without me knowing, you don't know who I am. He also tells him that Echo is lucky because he's superstitious, so he won't take the life of a holy man, and that's why Echo will only lose his hands today. Yikes. So the two men grab Echo, pull his hands out and down to the pulpit, binding them. Warlord raises the machete to cut Echo's hands when Echo spins around, fighting, takes the machete away from him, knocks the two men to the ground, slices through one man's neck, cuts the other man's arm at the elbow. Warlord tries to grab Echo, but he knocks him to the floor, and this is when he gets back up on his knees, and this is the, flash we had seen, or Echo had seen earlier in the jungle. He's on his knees begging for his life, and Echo says, you don't know who I am, and then kills him. He walks out of the church, covered totally in fucking blood, blood-soaked machete, like dripping off
like
of the blade.
Strawberry syrup colored, like
right.
super red.
Yeah.
He's looking crazed. The villagers see him and react in horror, obviously. And then Echo, kind of in shock from what just happened, drops the machete.
I wouldn't react in horror. I mean, he took out the warlord. That'd been
well,
killing
I guess
him.
so, but they don't know what happened inside.
Yeah.
All
Well,
they
that's
see is a
true.
priest with a machete covered in blood.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty shocking.
Looking crazed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's supposed to be sanctified ground. That's killing is not supposed to happen there for any reason. That's, I think,
Right.
what it's really about.
I don't know.
Right.
Self-defense. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what we think, but we're not superstitious in
Right.
that way.
Right. So inside the Pearl Station, Nikki sits in a chair looking annoying, watching the orientation film while Locke and Saeed are wiring the computer. Saeed tells Locke that the wiring is a closed system and communication only goes one way. Nikki wonders aloud what the other TVs are for, saying that the film claims there are 6 projects, so maybe they're monitoring all of the stations. Locke feels stupid, never having thought of this, while a mere extra came up with that in like 5 seconds. So Saeed starts trying to make the other TVs work when Paolo walks out of the bathroom to say that the toilet still works. Like, thanks,
What a
asshole.
douchebag.
Thanks.
Oh my
Your
God.
contribution is very much appreciated, Paolo. Shut up now.
It stinks. You have some air freshener?
Seriously, Paolo, what have you been eating? Fucking cat food and blue cheese? What is going on with your diet, man?
Oh my God. Cat food and blue cheese. Does that come in the Dharma drops?
Just imagine that would smell really bad if that was your diet.
You think so? Yeah, I would say so.
It smells like Paolo.
Oh my God. All right, so Saeed manages to get another screen working, and it shows a bunch of old computers with like reel-to-reel spinning. Paolo thinks they found what they're looking for, so he's like, cool, let's get out of here. He's in a hurry to go.
We'll see.
And just then, a creepy-looking man with an eye patch stares directly into the camera. He's wearing a Dharma overall set, or coveralls, and reaches up to cover the lens with his right hand. The video feed is then interrupted, and nothing but static remains. And Locke says, I guess he'll be expecting us.
What?
Alrighty. Back in his cell, Jack is chilling, and the door on the other side of the glass opens, and Juliet enters. Jack asks if she doesn't trust him any longer, and she says that, because she went into the other side, I guess, she says that she's there to put To Kill a Mockingbird on the VCR. This pisses Jack off, so she says she'll keep the volume down. She then apologizes for bringing Jack there and imprisoning his friends while static is like playing on the TV. The video comes on, and it is definitely not To Kill a Mockingbird. Instead,
No, it's Juliet doing like a Love Actually.
Yeah, seriously.
Which actually Paolo was in.
Oh, was he?
Oh, wow.
Wait, when did that come out? Was Love Actually out when this was out? That's
I don't know.
got to be right around the same time.
2003.
Oh, so it was already out
Yeah.
then, yeah, before the show started. All right. So anyways, it's Juliet doing a Love Actually, holding cue cards that say, ignore everything I'm saying. Jack looks confused, but doesn't say a word. Juliet speaks as the cards are on the screen. Christy, you have the timeline or what I have up, right? Could you be the cards? Okay, so I'm going to be Juliet and Christy will be the cards. So it goes like this. Ben, he's a great man.
Ben is a liar.
I know you find that hard to believe, but he is.
And he is very dangerous.
You probably feel like you don't have a choice, but you do, Jack. Free will is all we've really got, right?
Some of us want change, but it has to look like an accident.
Anyway, just wanted to put in my 2 cents.
It has to look like we tried to save him, and that's up to you, Jack.
I told you before, you can trust me. I want you to trust me now when I tell you that doing the surgery is absolutely the right thing for you to do.
It's a complicated surgery. No one would ever know.
It's the right thing because he deserves to live.
And I would protect you. Now tell me to turn off the movie.
Jack says, turn off the movie. Before leaving, Juliet says, think about what I said, please. Jack silently nods his head.
Once again, she does not rewind before she takes the video out.
That's right.
She's going to get a penalty when she returns
get the
back
dollar.
to the...
I think it was $1 back then.
Yeah.
This is an intense fucking scene, right? Because in episode 1, we talked about how there's obviously something going on between these two. And they were sort of the Locke and Jack of the others. Now it appears to be a little more serious than that. She's plotting
Make it look like
death.
An accident. It's complicated surgery.
All right. So flashback number 6. Young altered boy Danny is inside Yemi's church weeping. Echo walks through it with a suitcase saying he's going to London. Danny asks Echo if he's a bad man, and Echo responds, only God knows. Okay. Outside, Danny's mom chastises Echo for what he did, saying that other men will replace the men he murdered and he accomplished nothing. She then tells him that they are boarding up the church after he leaves, and Echo gets upset because this is Yemi's church and they have no right. And
what the hell was I supposed to do? My hands were totally tied.
Oh, God. Amina responds, it is no longer sacred, and one day you'll be judged for what you did. If I were you, I would start making my peace now. I would go to London and begin to repent because you owe God for every life you've taken, and you truly believe this is Yemi's. You owe him one church.
That's why he was building the church.
That's right.
Sounds like it. So Echo is sitting near the wreckage of his brother's plane, holding the gold cross. He looks up and sees Yemi watching him. When Echo sees him, Yemi takes off into the jungle. Echo is in hot pursuit, yelling that if Yemi wants his confession, he's ready to give it. Yemi appears in a field of waist-high plants with like red flowers everywhere. It's very pretty, peaceful setting. And he asks Echo if he's ready, and Echo says, yes, I'm ready, Yemi. Echo raises the cross into the sky and says, I ask for no forgiveness, Father, for I have not sinned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
I have only done what I needed to do to survive. A small boy once asked me if I was a bad man. If I could answer him now, I would tell him that. When I was a young boy, I killed a man to save my brother's life. I am not sorry for this. I am proud of this. I did not ask for the life I was given, but it was given nonetheless, and with it, I did my best.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh, what a speech.
Best confession ever.
Hell yeah.
So, Yemi, looking enraged, says, you speak to me as if I was your brother.
Huh?
Echo looks terrified at that and asks him, no, who are you? Yemi turns and walks away toward the jungle. Echo stands and angrily demands to know who this is. He follows the person, who is not Yemi, into the jungle, and suddenly the sound of the monster can be heard. Uh-oh. The smoke is seen whizzing through the jungle. Echo turns to find a giant column of black smoke, and he begins to say the 23rd Psalm. As he's praying, the smoke clanks like a roller coaster and grabs Echo by the waist, lifting him off the ground and slamming him into a tree. Inside the Pearl Station.
Is that the sound it made?
Yep. Like that. Inside the Pearl Station, they can hear the sounds of the monster outside. They climb out to find Echo in the grip of the monster. He's being slammed back and forth between trees. Like that. Before being lifted like 40 feet straight into the air and then pile drived down into the ground.
Here's your WWF.
Yep.
Right.
The smoke then retreats into the jungle. They run over to Echo and turn him over, finding that he's not quite dead somehow.
He's only mostly dead.
I feel like his bones, every bone in his body would be shattered. But
I'm
okay.
sure.
So Echo then whispers something into Locke's ear. It dies. Oh.
Yep.
There's a brief scene of young Echo and Yemi walking together. Echo has a soccer ball in one arm and the other arm around his brother's shoulders. Back to Echo's lifeless face, and Locke closes his eyelids like every weird TV death always does.
Yeah.
Yep. Saeed asks Locke what Echo said, and Locke looks up at the rest of the group and says, "He said we're next."
Did he?
Lost. What? Title screen. End of episode.
Woo.
Well,
yep.
That's our first big death of the season. What do you think?
Very surprising death, actually.
Yeah, it sucks. You said you did some reading about that, though, Derek? After watching
I was
this
like,
episode,
he's a great character. Why would they get rid of him? And champion
of season 2 Lost in my 40s
I was ready
rankings.
to get rid of Paolo first. In fact, I hope he has not. See, this death was a good death, I guess you call it. I hope Paolo gets like a really miserable, crappy death.
Dysentery.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Shits himself to death or something like that. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So
he's already that annoying this early.
Stay tuned for Paolo's miserable death. Yeah, actually, that's going to come up. You will get your wish. Okay, you're going to get your wish.
All right. He's not going to shit himself to death.
No, it's not dysentery. No.
I think they would have gotten that by now. 70 days.
Yeah, you would think.
Scurvy.
All right. Scurvy. That's like a pirate disease.
Vitamin C.
Yeah. They've got
plenty
enough
of fruit.
They've got plenty of fruit, so that probably wouldn't happen.
Right. All right. So, continuing our Lost in My 40s literary fun fact journeys. Today we're going to talk about To Kill a Mockingbird. Last week was Of Mice and Men, a book every American high school student reads. To Kill a Mockingbird is yet another. It is a novel written by American author Harper Lee, which was published in 1960, went on to win the 1961 Pulitzer Prize for Fiction. It was adapted into a critically and commercially successful film in 1962, starring Gregory Peck as Atticus Finch. And of course, that's what she was pretending to put on the TV. So Harper Lee loosely based this book on events from when she was a child. Her father was an attorney who defended 2 black men against murder and lost the case. In the Lost episode, Juliet doesn't mention the book, but mentions the film. So in addition to starring Gregory Peck as Atticus Finch, Boo Radley was the first ever film role for Robert Duvall. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah. 1995, the film was selected by the Library of Congress for preservation in the National Film Registry as culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. In 2003, the American Film Institute named Atticus Finch the greatest movie hero of the 20th century. In 2007, the film ranked 25th on AFI's 10th anniversary list of the greatest American movies of all time. Have you guys watched it? Have you seen the...
Actually, I haven't. Not the movie.
I've not seen the movie. I read the book
okay.
once.
I'm the only one that's seen it. Wow.
Probably an old movie if it has Gregory Peck in it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I told you, it's 1962.
Yep.
That's a while ago.
That's 60 years ago.
I don't want to think about that.
That's crazy.
I remember when the 60s were just a couple decades ago.
I know. I see those memes like, we're closer to like 2040 something and 1970 something. Like, are you serious?
Yeah. I don't want to hear it. All right. So the story of To Kill a Mockingbird takes place in the small town of Maycomb, Alabama. I always want to say it like that because of Forrest Gump.
Greenbow, Alabama.
Exactly. Alabama. It is. So the book or the story is narrated by Scout Finch. She's a 6-year-old tomboy who lives with her lawyer father, Atticus, and her 10-year-old brother, Jem. Their next-door neighbor is the weird, elusive Boo Radley. And during the novel, Scout Jem and their friend Dill try to make the reclusive neighbor like leave his house.
Who named these people?
I know.
Yeah.
And Boo Radley had not been seen in Maycomb since he was a teenager, and he was just kind of like a hermit, I guess you could say. So many of the residents of Maycomb are racist. Obviously, this is Alabama. During the novel, Atticus is asked to defend Tom Robinson, who's a black man wrongly accused of raping a white woman. Atticus takes on the case, even though everyone he knows has little hope of winning. The reader sees the trial develop through the childlike eyes of Scout, as gradually both she and her brother learn some valuable life lessons from their father about tolerance, empathy, and understanding. And if you want to know if he wins the case, you're going to have to win. Watch the movie. You're going to have to watch the movie or read the book. Probably watching the movie is quicker.
Or just look it up on Wikipedia really
Shut
quickly.
up.
Instant gratification.
Option C.
All right. Who wants to start with best and worst moments? Christy, maybe?
Best moment, Hurley going, do you guys smell smoke?
Out of all that, it's again with Hurley. It's you got to have Hurley in your top or your best, I guess.
And my worst moment is the nun screaming at Echo to confess. This is a big part of my problem with Catholics.
Yeah. The forcing confessions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, not letting them, a starving child, fucking eat.
Right, like have a cracker. It's fine.
So fucking gross.
Ben, how about you?
I think my favorite scene was when Ben was telling Jack, he was like, "Oh, we had such a great plan to break you, but now that's past." And when he said, I think Jack said, "So you want me to save your life?" And he said, "No, I want you to want to save my life." I just thought that was a really good line.
Yeah.
The worst scene, I think, was the rest of the episode.
Ooh, wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we'll hear more about that in your final impressions.
Yeah.
My best moment was Juliet and the video. Like, amazing. Oh my God. What the fuck is going on with the others? Like, this is so great. Last week, we find out they're on a separate island. This week, we find out Juliet's trying to kill Ben. Like, this is great. I'm loving it.
Or she's trying to trick Jack into...
Oh.
We don't really know what her motive is here.
At this point, yeah.
As Ben has already come clean, said, "Hey, we were going to try to break you. So, maybe this is just another layer of subterfuge."
Manipulation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Worst moment, Echo getting killed. I'm going to miss him. I loved his character. I loved the actor. I'm sad that he actually did ask to be written off the show. He didn't want to live in Hawaii. And I've read somewhere he wasn't super thrilled with the character itself, although the rest of us are. And will forever be.
I've got to agree with him, though. I thought his character in season 2, like for the first couple of episodes or whatever, was great. And then I really found him to be a very, very boring one-dimensional character for most of the rest of it.
Oh, well, excuse me. But I love Mr. Echo, and I always will. So we're just going to go ahead and fight about that.
Yeah, I'm into his earlier stuff, really. I think is what it comes down to.
That would be Oz.
Right.
All right. Who's left? Derek, best and worst?
My best was the same as Ben's, where Ben tells Jack, "I want you. I was gonna go through this big plan to break you, but now I want you to want to save me." Thought that was
It is a great line.
It was, and the worst moment was Echo dying.
Yeah, how'd you feel about that? So this is like the third. No, wait. What do we have?
Like I said, I was very surprised.
Boone Shannon, Anna Lucia, Libby, and then Echo. Out of all big main character deaths. So I guess we're kind of on our fifth. Yeah.
Yeah, this was probably the toughest one because I liked him. Okay. I liked Anna Lucia too, but like Booth and Shannon, I was
whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, so
I was surprised too because, like I said, it seemed so soon for him to die. I figured he'd at least go a couple seasons.
Yeah, agreed. Why don't you give us your best and worst characters and your fucking kill, Derek?
My best was Echo.
Mm-hmm.
And my second best was Juliet. I really do. Yeah, I like her. Especially like that scene with the cue card, the cards. And then Locke was my third. And my worst was Paolo.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I was going to do the smoke monster because it killed him, but this Paolo is just so goddamn annoying. I mean, he's like with B, like with Christy was with Ana Lucia. So,
okay.
So my second worst was smoke monster. I'm going to fuck Juliet, and I'm going to kill the smoke monster.
Our top were the same. Although I didn't have a third, but I have Echo as number one. In the end, he stood strong. He stood true. He was right. Apparently got him killed, but
loved his confession.
Yeah, loved the confession. And then I have Juliet as my second because, like, power move. Hello, I'm loving it. Worst character, Paolo, go away. Second, Nikki, go away. I have no third. I am fucking Echo, obviously. It's a goodbye fuck. Hope he spins me. And I'm going to kill the smoke monster because I don't appreciate what he did this week.
Right.
Ben, how about you?
Got Juliet for my first, Ben second, and then I put Jack for third, though I can't even really remember why at this point. It was just I think it was such an underwhelming episode for so many reasons that I was kind of like,
you're like, fuck it, stick the silver surgeon in there.
Really
I guess
have a
Dr.
bottom
Bronze.
three. I don't really have a bottom three either. I've got Paolo, and again, because I don't want to dilute my venom for him. Fuck that guy. I kill him as well because fuck him again. And then I'm gonna fuck Juliet because her subterfuge and trickery is now showing that she's more than just bringing sandwiches with toothpicks in them. There's a little more to her than that.
Christy, how about you?
So my top was Echo, and then I have Hurley and Yummy. My bottom was Nikki, Paolo, Smoke Monster. One final fuck for Echo.
Mm-hmm.
And this week I'm going to kill Nikki because I can't kill Nikki and Paolo at the same time. And I killed Paolo last week. So, yeah.
Fuck these two. Derek is laughing like he's losing everything. We tried to tell you, Derek.
Yeah, we told you that they were terrible.
Nikki and Paolo were coming and it was going to be a disaster. All right.
I think we might have Derek suffering from a bit of indoctrination fatigue at this point, though, because we've basically been setting him up to be like, you're going to hate these people. You're going to hate them.
And, Nikki and Paolo.
I mean, Nikki's not so bad yet. She actually had a
That's only because you want to fuck her.
Well, no, not just that, but just because she noticed that there's 6 monitors. She must be monitoring more stations that even Locke didn't know. So she had a little tinge of intelligence.
Yeah,
all right.
I even felt like when you said that, well, I feel really dumb right now. I was like, no, that's just lazy fucking writing, trying to get a new character kind of integrated into the show.
Giving her a nugget of something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Because what else was she going to do? Just show her tits or something?
Okay.
All right, Ben. I'm excited to hear the rankings because Kate had just pulled in front of Juliet, but I think Juliet got a lot of love this week. So what are we looking at?
We got Sawyer still on top, though he didn't gain or lose anything. He's got 44 points. Once again, Juliet has edged in front of Kate. Juliet has 37 points and Kate with 25. So that's more than edging in front of her, actually. She took a very commanding. We've got Mr. Echo pulling into 4th place, which is probably where he will remain. Well, not.
Oh, right. Desmond was in there last week.
Yeah. So Mr. Echo got some points, but I guess that's where he's going to stay in that orbit. We'll see what happens with everything else. The bottom of the barrel should not be much of a surprise. The first, it's Paolo. I mean, he's at negative 47 points. He's had like 3 lines in the entire show, and he's just getting hate fucked to death.
The bathroom scene was so stupid.
I know.
Okay.
Well, because the toilet works.
Well, put a pin in that because that's bathroom scene's going to come back. It's going to come back around to steal the phrase. So put a pin in that. But if he didn't want to be in the bottom, then he shouldn't have looked like such a douche. That's all I have to say.
And then we got Dad Pants Danny in 2nd, and then Jack still in 3rd.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
All right. Wow. Ben, what were your final impressions after season 3, episode 5? You hated it or what?
I thought this episode sucked. It felt like it was an episode that was written specifically to kill off a character, and it was like a trap.
Could be true. Yeah.
It felt like a trapdoor episode. It's like, okay, well, we got to kill him, and the way that he died,
it was stupid.
It was fucking stupid. Like, oh, you're Yemi. Oh, why are you talking to me like I'm your brother? And then all of a sudden, it's the smoke monster. Like, I can imagine so many other ways that he could have gone out. That would have just been like, it would have made more sense. But the fact that it becomes this sort of like supernatural sort of judgment, it was really, really bad writing is all I can say.
Oh, wow. Well, that's really interesting since it's very integral to the rest of the show.
Yeah. Well,
and what happens in season 5 and 6 and interesting.
What, you just death?
The smoke monster bit about it, and the like explanations of what's going on the island, the judgment thing. Of course, the judgment thing like plays into the terrible purgatory rumors that were flying around everywhere. Yeah.
I guess what it is like the overtly bang you over the head religious overtones of the Echo episodes mixed with like the smoke monster and this entire like looming idea of judgment and all that. It wearies me is the only way I can put it. I find it really, really tedious.
Okay.
And it's, what would you call it? The standard religious hokum pokum, I think is what they said it in one of the other episodes. I felt like I was getting beat over the head with it. And it was just, there were way better episodes even this first part of the season. And this one was really bad.
Gosh, I really didn't think it was that bad. I was sad to see Echo go, of course. He's one of my more favorable characters. I did love seeing the smoke monster again. It's back, so that was exciting, even though I hated what it did, It left me wondering why Echo? Like, why does the smoke monster care if he repents? And so it's leaving me with some intrigue. I wouldn't say it was my favorite episode ever, but I certainly didn't feel that way. That Ben, I don't hate it as much as you do.
So was it like a double turd, Ben?
Yeah. This one was a true deuce.
Oh boy. I think that the season for me, it's pacing a little on the slower side, but I like it so far. And I think that this episode, didn't do too much to further the plot other than the eye patch man. There's intrigue there as well. They're drawing me in with that. Yeah, they're drawing me in with that. And then the big moment, which was Juliet's power play, which to me, I don't know how we could think that this was a terrible episode because that happened in it. And that's definitely like huge. And then also just fuck Nikki and Paolo. That's it. So, Christy, how about you?
I enjoyed parts of this episode.
Okay.
As someone who was raised Catholic, there were a lot of difficult parts of this for me. Yeah, so the Catholic stance on so many things is such absolute garbage. So there were parts of this that were very difficult. I did absolutely love Echo's confession at the end. That was fantastic. So
there were a lot of good moments in this episode.
I think there were 3 good moments in this episode.
Okay.
There was his confession. There was the videotape where she was doing the cue cards, and then there was the conversation about Ben was saying, I was going to break you, but now that I want you to fix me. I think like there were 3 kind of buoyant parts of the episode, while the rest of it was just kind of meh. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Derek, how about you? What did you think of this episode, and did it leave you with any questions?
It was an okay episode, especially after the last episode, which was, in my opinion, really good.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much any scene that didn't have Echo in it not confessing was not that great. Too much of the religious stuff. I agree with Ben with all that. It's just dragging out. And it was like an episode written just to kill him off. But I have a few questions. Who was the Yimmy that Echo was talking to on the island?
Okay.
And what did Echo really say in Locke's ear before he died? Because I don't think he said what Locke said.
No.
I don't believe it.
All
and
right.
who is the guy with the eye patch in the other hatch?
That one will be coming up.
That was the biggest question, yeah.
You are going to find that out. You will know who he is and where he is in this season. All right, guys. That's not going to happen next week. Next week, it's season 3, episode 6. It's called I Do. We have a question answered. Who is Kate's husband? It's a Kate episode. It's a Ben episode. Our Ben. Not Ben Linus. And we'll see you next week. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Lost in My 40s is a Spacebear Media production. Executive produced and edited by me, Lacy J. Sound engineering, editing, and original music by Benjamin Trimp. Like and follow Lost in My 40s on Facebook to interact with your hosts. Plus, follow Spacebear Media on YouTube to watch our episode pre-shows. You can also find us at Spacebear_media on Instagram and Twitter. Or come to our website, spacebearmedia.com.